You often hear the saying that behind every good man is a good woman. The saying is very true, and when you find that couple walking together through life, they are truly blessed. They also become blessings to everyone they encounter along the way, and can influence many lives in positive ways. The late Robert Bob Stevenson and his wife Harriet are lifelong residents of Stevens County, and two people who have dedicated their lives to helping the Morris School, community, and county, and the lives of those around them. They were high school sweethearts who started dating as seniors and were married nearly 65 years. Bob spent most of his life helping others through community service, and Harriet was by his side along the way. They are the perfect example of a caring couple walking together through life. It is sometimes hard to determine the full impact a person has on others without considering everything they have done and how they treated people throughout their lives. Bob and Harriet's gift to Stevens County can be measured through their many accomplishments and dedicated service. But most of all, it shines through their honesty and love of family and community, along with their positive attitude even during difficult situations. Robert Maxwell Stevenson arrived in this world on the 4th of July in 1927. He was the second oldest of three children, born to Floyd and Bertha Nicely Stevenson in Morris. He was 6 years younger than his sister Helen Jane and 17 years older than his brother David. While Bob loved his parents, he loved spending time with his grandparents, Max and Minnie Stevenson, even more because they lived on a farm which was located north of Morris. He spent a great deal of time there, working with the animals and doing field work. He truly enjoyed the country lifestyle and eventually purchased the farm he loved so much. Bob was always very responsible and hardworking. As a teenager, he needed dental work, but his family could not afford it. Bob negotiated with the dentist in order to make the payments and get the dental work done. He then decided to set a trap line and earn money for the work. He set the trap line that he checked before and after school each day. He was able to pay for the dental work, and he used that same hard work ethic throughout his life. One day, Bob was walking home from school to his grandparents' farm. He jumped a fox. He happened to have a .22 rifle with him, so he shot the animal, took the pelt, and sold it for $20. He then gave the money to his grandparents, who were stunned at his generosity. Bob's nephew, Jim Morrison, remembers the story Bob told about those days on his grandparents' farm. Bob was raising some pheasants at the farm, and one of his grandparents' pigs got into them. He was so mad he whacked the pig, and it fell over. Thinking he had killed the pig, Bob ran away and hid. He didn't come home until really late after supper, and it was dark. When he showed up at his grandparents' home, everything seemed normal, and nobody was mad at him. Apparently, the pig had recovered, and nobody knew that anything had happened to it. Bob grew up and attended school in Morris. In 1945, at the age of 17, Bob enlisted in the United States Navy. World War II was just winding down, but he wanted to serve his country, so his parents signed the papers allowing him to enlist at a younger age. He was honorably discharged in 1947 and returned to Morris. He then entered the senior class at Morris High School to complete his schooling. It was there that he met the love of his life, Harriet Tomlin. Harriet Margaret Tomlin was born on March 3, 1930, to Sterling and Frances Thompson Tomlin. She had three siblings: Sterling, whom everyone called Tommy, Shirley, and Elizabeth, nicknamed Betty. Harriet lived all her life in Morris and grew up on West 9th Street as a young girl. Her dad worked for Bob Wells, who eventually had Wells Park in Morris named after him. One year for Christmas, Mr. Wells gave Sterling Tomlin a cabin on a lake. One of Harriet's ultimate goals during her school days was to be a cheerleader. She finally accomplished this in 8th grade when her friends Joanne Norby and Dorothy Bunsen, along with Harriet, were named cheerleaders. She continued cheering for the Morris Tigers throughout high school. In her senior year, a new face appeared in the classroom. He was always smiling and friendly to fellow students, even new students. He began to draw the interest of Harriet, especially when she noticed how caring and honorable he was to others. His name was Bob Stevenson. An example of this was when John Bowman arrived in the district and was assigned a seat next to Bob in their grade school class. John didn't have new clothes to wear to school, and other children made fun of him. That first day during recess, when the kids were being mean, Bob spoke up and told them to knock it off and leave John alone. John never forgot how Bob helped him through those years, and they became lifelong friends. Bob ran for president of the senior class, but Harriet admits that she didn't vote for him. That didn't deter Bob, however. He asked her out at Christmas time, and she said yes. They began dating that year and went to prom together. Bob was a talented athlete, active in basketball, football, and track. He broke several records at a district track meet, including shot put, pole vault, and relays. They were both members of the Morris Area High School class of 1947 to graduate in late May. After graduation, Harriet went on to attend Moorhead State College to earn her teaching degree. Bob also attended college in Moorhead and worked while going to school. Harriet got a teaching job in Herman, where she taught second grade for 6 years. She also taught in Maynard and Alberta. They were married on July 12, 1952, at First Lutheran Church in Morris. The couple loved to go to the movies, play cards, and spend time with friends and family. However, one of their favorite pastimes was dancing, especially at the Lakeside Ballroom in Glenwood. Harriet admits that Bob didn't know how to dance when they started dating, but he worked hard and caught on quickly under her guidance. He soon loved it as much as she did, and it became part of their lives for many years. They traveled often to various places where they could dance to their favorite big band sounds. Another great love of his life became theirs when Bob purchased the Stevenson family farm from his aunts and uncles. The couple built a house on the farm, located 4 miles north of Morris, and lived there for 25 years. Bob often said he kept the road warm between the farm and town for many years. Bob had long been intrigued by the historical significance of the farm and was always excited to find an artifact from the site that once housed Gager's Station, the first store and post office in Stevens County on the Wadsworth Trail. The Wadsworth Trail was a wagon route used by settlers moving west in the 1800s, and it ran from St. Cloud to Fort Wadsworth, later called the Fort Sisseton, in eastern South Dakota. Harriet stated that you could still see the ruts from covered wagons that passed along the old trail on part of the farm. This trail was also used by soldiers and traders who came up the Mississippi River by boat. From St. Cloud, they traveled on the trail through Sauk Center and on to Gager's Station, north of present-day Morris, then proceeded to Browns Valley and ended at the Sisseton Reservation. Bob and Harriet welcomed their first child, Barbara, in 1956. Kathy was born in 1959, and Harriet became a stay-at-home mom. The couple opened their own business, Stevenson's Office Supply, located on Main Street in Morris. Harriet also helped at the business as needed. Later they added Deputy Registrar to the business, and it became known as Stevenson's Office Supply and Deputy Registrar. They operated this business in Morris for 40 years. As a family, they spent time at family cabins on area lakes. One of these was a cottage on Lake Minnewaska, and the other was on Leaf Lake near Henning. Harriet stated that Bob always had time for her and the girls, taking them fishing and boating at the lake and doing fun things together as a family. When Barb showed an interest in horses and dogs, Bob quickly got both for her. Even though they were living in town at the time, they had a small barn in the backyard for the horse. Years later, Shortly after Harriet's liver transplant, they got Max, a chocolate lab, and he quickly took his place as a member of the family and went everywhere with Bob. Bob also loved to go hunting for ducks, pheasants, and deer. He enjoyed going to the Boundary Waters to fish and out west to hunt for mule deer. Later, he would take his son-in-law, Kevin Sheehy, to local places and teach him how to hunt. Kevin had never touched a gun, but Bob showed him how to shoot, and they enjoyed many great adventures together for several decades. Bob frequently referred to Kevin as Ole, even though Kevin was a proud Irishman. Kevin tells the story about one hot, sticky summer evening when Bob asked him to help put hay bales in a hayloft. I was catching the bales in the loft and thinking that I had the hard part of the job, standing in the dank, stuffy loft. I asked to switch with Bob and found that this was a big mistake. While there was a bit of a breeze, I quickly realized those bales were very heavy, and Bob had a technique for swinging the bales up and into the loft. He made it look so easy. I couldn't believe my 58-year-old father-in-law was able to toss a bale like he did. Kathy and Kevin were married in 1984 and soon moved to Savage. Barb gave birth to Marissa, Bob and Harriet's only grandchild, a short time later. A year later, Barb was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis at the age of 29. When Marissa was in her junior year of high school, Barbara was no longer able to live at home. So Marissa spent her final years of school living with her grandparents. In 1966, Bob was elected as a Stevens County Commissioner. He was re-elected to several terms and served Stevens County for the next 40 years. During this time, he served with many different commissioners, representing various sections of the county. He was known as an honest, intelligent public servant. He had time for everybody and would stop and listen when people wanted to talk to him. He asked questions and genuinely listened to the answers. He took time to say hello and always had a warm smile. Bob was also known for his storytelling abilities and his tendency to share stories about his colorful family. He liked to buffalo people and had a keen nose for the baloney others tried to inflict. He'd tell you flat out if he thought you were full of it, stating, "If bullshit were music, you'd be a brass band." His honesty, ability to get things done, and problem-solving continued to get him reelected. One of the biggest accomplishments as a county commissioner was as one of the leaders in the formation of Prime West, a health provider network that has served the region since 1998. The plan is owned by 13 rural Minnesota counties and provides coverage to over 38,000 residents who participate. In 1998, the Association of Minnesota Counties named Bob the Outstanding County Commissioner of the Year. He received the Jim Parker Leadership Award in 2004 and the Association of Minnesota Counties President's Award in 2006. Bob was a 70-year member of the Masonic Lodge, and both he and Harriet were 70-year members of the American Legion and Auxiliary. Bob retired from county commissioner in 2006 after 40 years of service to the county he loved. The couple also worked hard to support the community and the school district. Harriet chaired 3 all-school reunions and the annual hospital gala ball. She loved being involved in the community and taking care of her family. Whenever possible, she would encourage a good game of bridge with friends. During this time, Bob and Harriet also faced many challenges. It was difficult for the couple when their oldest daughter was diagnosed with MS in the early 80s. It has been hard for the entire family. Barb continued to have a positive outlook on life until she lost her battle in the summer of 2018. In 1998, Harriet was diagnosed with primary sclerosing cholangitis, PSC, which is an uncommon condition affecting the bile ducts of the liver. She underwent a successful liver transplant and continues to live a relatively healthy life. Bob had triple bypass heart surgery in 2007. but his heart problems continued to bother him. He was later diagnosed with congestive heart failure. He died peacefully at his home on June 23, 2017, just days short of his 90th birthday. Bob and Harriet Stevenson were not born into wealth, but they had a wealth of goodness within each of them and treasured the love of their family and friends. They went through life being the best people they could be, helping others and dealing with others in honest, straightforward ways. They were two good people who complemented and completed each other throughout their lives.